Tuesday who was preaching on Sunday, and Leah said she didn't know, and then she said, "You are." And I told her she was crazy, that this was not me, I could not do this. And I said, ask James, and he wasn't real comfortable with it. And she came back and said, James doesn't feel comfortable. I said, well, go to Joe again. And so Jeff called Joe, and Joe said, I'm sorry, but I'm very busy. And she said, it's on you. And I said, well, we have Casper. Well, then I got to church Wednesday night, and Craig said, before I even said anything, Craig said, asked me about how I run YouTube, and because Casper's not going to be here. And Mom said, so how do you feel about the process of elimination that the Lord is telling you this is what you're supposed to do? And I went home and I said, if this is what you want me to do, then you have to give me something, because I said, I won't pick out songs, I let you do that. And I won't get up there if I don't have anything, so you're going to have to give me something. And that was Wednesday night. During the middle of the night, I woke up, and all I heard was, how much more precious? How much more precious? And I said, okay, is that me or you? And he said, how much more precious? And I said, okay, but you're going to have to kind of stretch that some more. You got to give me more than just how much more precious. And Thursday, I hadn't told anybody. And Thursday, he used Mom, and he started pouring in scriptures. And so I started studying and researching, and like I said, we'll probably be out to 1:45, so it's going to be an early lunch. So please pray for me. I am nervous, but I'm going to bring what he's given me. So, and those of you that are church members know when the Spirit hits me, tears flow. And Jim said, don't get up there and cry. I said, if it hits, I can't avoid it. So the first thing he showed me, the title is How Much More Precious. How much more precious is what? How much more precious are we? The first thing he gave me was, how much more precious are you than the birds? And the thing I'm sure we've all, as children, we've all picked up a feather and pulled it apart, and then you can slide it back together. Well, I haven't done that since I was a child, but I wondered, is it something sticky? Is there what makes it stick? And their top feathers are thousands of tiny little barbs that operate as a zipper to keep their feathers on the top closed so that rain doesn't seep through. In a duck, it's oil. There's oil in the feathers. But in the birds, it's thousands of tiny little barbs that act like a zipper. And when that feather comes apart, they can zip their feathers back together to keep water from getting to their bodies. The undercoating, the down that we see at the bottom of the feather, is to keep them warm. We see them sitting on electrical wires that if we touch, this is a barbed wire, but we see them sitting on electrical wires that if we touch it would kill us, but it doesn't them. How much more precious are we than a bird? But yet, he created them to be able to withstand the weather, and he provides food for them. The next slide. So how much more precious are we than the birds? The flowers of the field, he said, nobody's out there to water them, but yet I give them a drink of dew every morning. And it's for our pleasure and his pleasure. And the birds sing, they sing praises to him. The flowers point towards him with all their glory and their beauty. But yet, nobody's out in the fields to feed them, but yet he gives them water every morning to drink, because he created them to have that. And if they didn't have it, they would die. Next slide, please. This is something he formed. And can you guys see the circle there? That diamond in the circle, correct me if I'm wrong, and I've already lost my notes. Okay. That diamond in the middle there is called, and well, Robbie's gone, but James, I have to go to my encyclopedia. If anybody knows, correct me. It's called the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Anybody ever heard of it? Joe? Okay. It is now a part of the British crown jewels. God formed this diamond. It is flawless, perfect. Its clarity is unbelievable. Experts say this gem cannot be valued. They say it's approximately, now get this, 3.5 times the wealth of the entire world is its value. God formed that. But yet, that means nothing to him. It has no value to him except for the fact that he formed it. The streets are made of gold in heaven. The Bible tells us the streets are made of gold. And the gates are made of pearl. And there are other jewels. But that has no value to him. To us it does. I mean, I thought that I never knew anything like that existed. And he formed that. But you see, we are more precious to him than anything we could ever imagine. That diamond, I mean, when I read that, I thought, wow, I can't even begin to imagine how valuable that is. But we are more precious and more valuable to him than that stone. Isaiah 43:4 says, because you are precious in my sight, you are honored and I love you. Author David Ekman describes God explaining his love for us like this. My son is dying for you because you are worth a son to me. I want to read that again. My son is dying for you because you are worth a son to me. How many of us could honestly say we would give our only child, any of our children, but our only child, to die for someone else? We let them go off to war, but when they're off in war, what is our number one prayer? That they return home safely. We want them to go off and fight for our country, but we don't want them to die while they're out there. John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. His only son. That's how precious we are to him. Genesis 1:26 says, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Would you want anything made like you if it wasn't precious to you? In my studying, and I didn't put this in my notes, but in my studying, it was talking about, I read an article where when Pepsi was developed, it was extremely, the company, it was tasted so well, and the company was so proud of their accomplishment that they knew they could put it out on the shelf and it would sell for whatever they asked for it. They were so proud of their product. He is so proud of us, and we are so precious to him, that every day when we speak, heaven stops just so he can listen to us. He is so proud of us that everything that we do in his name, when we give our lives to him, all of heaven rejoices. Now, if a company is that proud of their product, how much more proud and precious are we to him? He sent his son, his only son, for us. And we are made in his image. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And fearfully means respectful. We are respectfully and wonderfully made. We hold so much value to him that even the hairs on our head are numbered. Luke 12:7 says, but even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are more valuable, you are more valued than many sparrows. Don't accept the lies that Satan has whispered to you that you are worthless, useless, and that no one loves you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. How much more precious are we than the birds of the air and the flowers of the field? We were created for his pleasure. He longs for us to allow him to put his arms around us and let him love us. If you've suffered the loss of love at the hands of someone else, you're more precious to him, and he longs to show you. He hurts when we hurt. And there are no tears in heaven for us, but I do believe that when we cry, he cries. When we're suffering, he's suffering. If you had a wonderful life with parents, friends, and family that were the epitome of perfection here on earth, you still need his arms wrapped around you and his love shown to you. There will come a time in your life when those people will not be able to comfort you. If you've been given a bad report from a doctor, no matter what they say, no matter how much they love you, it's not going to comfort you. Their arms wrapped around you may feel good, but you're not going to get the peace that you need from them. Did you grow up with a mother or father who wasn't the parent they should have been? Maybe you have children that are now grown that have no use for you. Were you bullied at school or had siblings that tortured you at home? All of these lead to feelings of low self-worth, insecurities, and inadequacies. But that's not how he sees us. He sees us as precious and valuable. He loves us. How much more precious are we? When a newborn baby enters the world, he or she is automatically born with an instinct for love and affection. If that newborn's mother refuses it or pushes it away for any length of time, an emotional reaction to the lack of love kicks in and the newborn becomes what is called failure to thrive. We as adults have the same reaction when the pain from lack of love becomes so strong that suicide is committed, or we become severe recluses that we just can't live in society anymore. That's not the way he intended us to live. We live in a broken world. So if you had a mother or father that was abusive or alcoholic, or your mother was a prostitute, or had tons of boyfriends coming in and out of the house, and you suffered abuse, or for whatever reason, or you were bullied in school, or you had siblings who were just tormented you. We live in a broken world, so that's why that happened. But that's not how he intends for us to live. And as adults, there are so many that turn to suicide because of the lack of love, the lack from a spouse, the lack from parents, the lack from coworkers, that they turn to suicide, or they've suffered such a great loss that they become recluses. But that's not how he intended us for us to live. He intended for us to turn to him so that he can comfort us. It hurts him when we hurt. We are more precious than anything else that he's created or formed. We are the only thing that he sent his son for. And this isn't a get saved message. This is a message of, he's saying, if there is any hurt, I can heal it. I love you. Everyday teenagers are being bullied through the internet in profound ways that we as older adults never had to suffer. Never. We got a phone call from a family member yesterday, and his daughter, his granddaughter, who is 16, was just put into a psych ward because boys have been sending her pornographic pictures of themselves and torturing her online, and she couldn't take it anymore and had a nervous breakdown. 16 years old. We may have been bullied in school, us older ones, but we face nothing that they face now. And she doesn't know who to turn to. She didn't have to suffer with that. And now she's in a psych ward where what she's going to hear is not going to be, God can take care of you. God will protect you. He will love you. You can depend on Him. God's love is so far beyond all of this. He gave His only begotten Son that we might live. I suffered at the hands of a father that was a godly man, but had lived with his father and grandfather that were abusive. Little did I know, it was all because my father didn't know how to become free from the bondage that Satan had him under. As I've grown in the Lord the past 4 years, I've learned to forgive my father, understand the torment that he was under, and to allow God to love me and to show me how much more precious I am than what the world sees me as. If you didn't have that perfect home, my sister-in-law is one of 3 girls, and her parents were perfect. They grew up in church. There was no abuse. They went on family vacations. These 3 girls were the world to their mother and father, and they still are today. But even with perfect parents, they still face things in life that they need to know how precious they are to the Lord. Jeremiah 31:3 says, "Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love." Everlasting means never, 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 never ending. "Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee." He draws us to Him so that we can receive from Him. He hurts when we hurt, and His desire is to show us how much more precious we are than anything else He has created and formed. I challenge you this week to sit quietly in His presence. Ask Him to show you just how precious you are, and feel His love pour over you like warm oil. If you ask, it's not that He won't deny you, He can't. If He denied you, that means that His word is a lie, and His word is not a lie. So it's not that He can't, He won't. Or it's not that He won't, He can't. It is spiritually impossible for Him to deny you the love that He has for you. Amen. Joe's